Hello and welcome to today's European SharePoint, Office 365 and Azure Community webinar. My name is Ella and I'm delighted to be joined by Rick van Roosevelt, MVP, Belgium, who'll be talking to you today about how to extend the Unextended in Microsoft Teams. Remember to join in the conversation about today's webinar on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP and our hashtag is ESPC20. Don't forget to check out the Resource Center. This is updated daily with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. Simply visit sharepointeurope.com and click the content link at the top. Today marks the last day of Microsoft Teams Week. Join us for one more webinar at 3 p.m. CET with Nikki Carter. After Rick's webinar, we will have a question and answer session. Type any questions you may have into the question window. Questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center, where you'll be notified by email when it is available. And now I'm going to pass you over to our webinar presenter today, Rick. Hello, Rick.
There we go. Good morning. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's a fine day today, so let's talk about extend the unextended in Microsoft Teams. Let's switch right back to the presentation and let's get started today. So everybody knows me. My name is Rick, and I'm from Belgium. So we all know that we can extend Microsoft Teams. Of course, we can do lots of stuff in Microsoft Teams to extend it. The simplest, most basic example is to add a tab. We all know how to add a normal tab, like an out-of-the-box tab, but we can also build our own tabs to add them. We can, of course, build bots for in Teams. Those bots, of course, can be integrated into different systems, but one of them is Teams. That's channel for the bots. We can also build connectors. So if you want to get data from another system inside of Teams, if you can even write a little bit of JSON, you can push it out and you get a special URL. If you click on the connector button and if you pump out JSON to that URL, then you can get information into Teams. Easy to sync different systems into Teams. Also possible. We can do activity feed integration. So we all know the activity feed. If somebody mentions us or if we're added to a team, well, we can add our own stuff in there. Let's say something as important is happening, then you can notify people through the activity feed.
Sorry, Rick, can I just interrupt you there?
Yeah.
People saying they can't see the slides.
They can't see the slides. Show your screen. Ah, okay, show screen.
Perfect, yeah, I can see it now as well. Okay, we're good to go. Sorry now to interrupt, but okay.
No problem. So back we had the, where was I? Okay, we had activity feed integrations. Nobody missed any important slide. It's just a reminder for me what we were talking about. So we had outgoing webhooks. So if you want to get information from Teams inside another system, so then you can create an outgoing webhook, meaning you can create your own webhook somewhere, a URL, in Azure or in another system, and every time you ping that webhook, that information is being sent out to that other system. Easy to get information out of Teams and into your own system. But we can also do calling and meeting integrations now. So if you have a meeting, you can add a tab to it, or you can have a pop-up in a meeting, or you can have a bot call people. So there's lots of possibilities with that one. But the main important thing why we're here today, so why we are here, are messaging extensions. Just a little side note, they used to be called compose extensions. You will see that in the manifest as well, because Microsoft has to do backwards compatibility. So, but if you look for the documentation, or if you Google something, look for messaging extensions or compose extensions sometimes, because if it changes the name, of course, the entire internet is not going to change the name suddenly. So the Microsoft documentation has been updated, but if you search for compose extensions, you might sometimes find the answer on Google what you're looking for. So this is the reason why we're here, messaging extensions. Now, as in everything in the world, it's location, location, location. All those other things we talked about, like tabs and bots, they're not hard to find, but they're not in the direct viewing field of the user. For a bot, they have to click on a button or start a chat with the bot or add mention it. For a tab, they have to click on the tab button. But for messaging extensions, they're right there. You open Teams and you have access to your messaging extensions. I circled them around with a red box here. So we have the 3 dots at the bottom. There you can add, so as you can see, the jiffies or the smiley face, those things are also messaging extensions, but those are out of the box. Well, we can add our own here. We can add the 3 dots next to a conversation. There we can have more actions, and there we can have our own messaging extension. Or I had to search for it myself because I never use it. I'm not sure if any user uses it. Yeah, maybe the developers are among us because yeah, we're used to using the command bar and using the command box. But yeah, if you type here, so above in the command bar, you can also use a messaging extension. It's possible. I don't know if people use it, but yeah, it's easier to use the 3 dot. So you're right in the viewing field of the user, meaning it's immediately visible, your messaging extension. Now, of course, with great power comes great responsibility. Don't overcrowd these locations. I can build 20 messaging extensions, but then there are like 20 additional buttons at the bottom and 20 additional buttons if I click the 3 dots. Yeah, don't overcrowd them. People still need to know what do they do, and they need to be, if you add like 50 buttons, it's not going to be usable anymore. So don't overcrowd it when you think about it. Now, how do these work? Well, they're based on the bot framework, of course. They have the same setup as building a bot for Teams. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not that good. The good things about that is it uses the same authentication. It uses the same authentication JSON schemes, of course. On the other hand, yeah, you have to build an entire bot. It goes faster these days because all the plumbing is done for you by either the generator, the Teams extension, the Teams generator, or the plugins for Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. But still, you have to know how to build a bot because it's based on the bot framework. On the other hand, it's a good thing for Microsoft. They didn't invent something new. The Teams team just looked around and said, okay, we need something to communicate between Teams and between our outside world, or so the apps a developer is bringing. How are we going to do that? Well, let's reuse the bot framework. The security has already been set up. There's already there's a lot of community effort around it. So there's already a team building it. So they didn't need to build the entire thing themselves. Now, one extension can hold up to 10 different commands, meaning we can reuse, we can have one extension that does 10 different things. Now, extensions can be either search-based or action-based. Now, let's take a little bit deeper look on that. So as you can see here, so this is a screenshot of what we have to do in the manifest file. So as you know, the manifest file is, if we start building something, we have to tell Teams what are we building, because Teams, it needs to know what we are building. So we create a manifest file, which is just a JSON file that tells Teams, okay, we're building a tab, and you can look for that tab, you can find it here. In this case, hey Teams, we're building a compose extension, and this is our bot ID. So Teams goes to the bot framework and can ask the bot framework, okay, I got an ID here, which bot is it, and where do I have to get my information? And then we can update configuration. That means there's a little, if you put it through, a little box will appear that says, okay, now you can update it. Depending on your use case or your scenario, okay, do you need to update the configuration of that button or that messaging extension? And then we get the command. So then we get, okay, what does this compose extension actually do? And then we have our search command. So let's start with the search command first. We give it an ID, a description, and a title. This ID, we'll get to that later. It's rather important. Why? Because it makes your command unique. It's just for you, so you can name it whatever you want. But later in your code, let's say you have 10 of these commands, so 10 different search commands. Yeah, then you need to know, okay, which one is the user using actually. So this is just for you. Then the title and description, of course, those are important because that's what the user will see. And then we have the initial run parameter. This will say, okay, if somebody clicks that button, does Teams needs to do an initial query? So do we already access your application and get an initial query? Because it's search based, so it's query based. So this will say the type query will mean, okay, this is search based. And then of course we can tell it, okay, where do we want to show it? We can show it in the compose box, and we can show it in the command box. And then of course we can add some parameters. I'll show you that a little bit later in the demo. That's also what the user sees, so in the description and in the title. So the compose box, that's here. So if you click on find an app, and then you can see my little company app button here. So this is the one I created. So don't look at the logo, of course. I used the default Microsoft logo that you get with your Teams generator. And then you get like this search box, and here you can type your search query. As you can see here, description, enter your search keywords, and title with keywords. So enter your search keywords is what's added into the search box. So the default value, okay, it's like in Google, a little bit grayed out. And then of course, search our knowledge repository. You see that here, this is the description used here. So description is used here at the bottom, and then the other one is used inside the search query box. Yeah, I didn't use that special enter your search keywords and search your knowledge repository. It's not that special, but if you have a special app, you can really describe what it's doing to help the user. Okay, why is this app deployed to my teams? Because yeah, they will see the icon, but if they have no idea what it does, yeah, here you have the possibility to tell your user, okay, this is what it does, and this is why you need to use this one. In the command box, of course, we first have to say company app, and then we can search for it, and then then our results will return back into the command box, and then we can say, okay, open it in browser or copy paste it. So the functionality is a little bit different, but I'll show you that in a little bit. Now, if we add more search commands, remember I just told you we can add until 10 commands. So if we add more, then we'll just create tabs. So I just copy pasted the same one. So search, we can have a second one, a third one, a fourth one, a fifth one. Could be useful. Let's say, for instance, you need to search a CRM system, or you need to search some kind of backend ERP system. Well, yeah, then you can say, okay, this is our customer database, and this is our product database, and people can search between different databases instead of having one big search that finds everything, and then everything is linked together. Yeah, all the results are mixed up together. Yeah, that's not that fun for the end user. So they can have different search boxes for different backend systems. Now, enough talk, let's just show the demo. Makes it a little bit better. So let's go to Visual Studio. Of course, the first thing we need to do is our manifest. So as I already discussed in the presentation, this is going to be our messaging extension. So our compose extension, we have our bot ID. So if I go to Azure, this bot ID will tell me where to go. So I just created a new bot in Azure. I'll show you that right again. Let's just load that one. So in Azure, you create a new bot. We can update the configuration, and we have our two search commands as you just saw. So search command 1, search command 2. Don't look at the other ones. Those are action-based. Those are over a little bit further in the presentation. So we have the second search command, first search command. This will just tell Teams, okay, compose and command box. Meaning, if I go to Teams, compose. So if I do company app, see, here it already turns up. Here I can search for it. And then if I start a new conversation, let's make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. So here's my command box of my little company app. And here I have my two tabs. So I get my first tab and my second tab. This manifest just describes Teams. Okay, I want to show this. This is what Teams does for you. It will already put the button here with the logo, and it will already create this company app, enter your search keyword. So everything's here. As you can see, I still haven't connected to my code yet. My code is not running. I don't even have ngrok running for the moment, so nothing is running. Then the moment we will start doing something, so I click test, of course, our code is not running. So there's nothing working in the backend, unable to reach app. So what do we need to do? We need to reach our backend. For that, we can use ngrok, of course. So let's just say ngrok start all. I already configured it. What does ngrok do? Well, it will tell not Teams, of course. It will set up an interface between a public URL, as you can see here. This is my pro Teams dev URL, and it will go to my local host. And if I now click the start button in Visual Studio, you will see it will go back to the same local host. Now, where is this URL defined? So how does Teams know that we can go to that URL? Because we just have the bot ID, we don't have anything else. Well, that will be in the bot. So if I go to my where's my company app bot? There we go. There we go. So this is my bot. And if we go to settings, then this should see, this is the URL. So this is the messaging endpoint. This is also the thing you need to change when you stop developing and go to production. So you just change your messaging endpoint. Teams will go to the bot ID. It will search for this ID. It will probably be here somewhere, the ID. Where's my ID? It will probably be so somewhere. It was also in the settings page, of course. Here's my ID, so 560. And as you can see in my Visual Studio, oh, this is a different one. We'll all go to the same one probably, and it will come into the Pro Company app. So if I now do something, So if I search for something, then we will start seeing requests coming in. See API messages, and there we go, and we're in. And now we're already in our code. Now, as you can see, we're into a on Teams messaging extension query async method. This is, yeah, there's a lot of methods. So once you create a messaging extension, I think you will be at the 12 or 14 or 15 or 20 overrides on methods. So there's a lot of methods, but yeah, they're quite, so on Teams messaging extension query. So it's quite clear. It's not an obscure name. So when a messaging extension does a query, so we come in, it's of course on a turn, so it's a bot. And then first we need to get our information. So I just click test here. Now, something to know, if you wait more than 5 seconds, Teams has something built in to make sure the user is not harassed if your code doesn't work. So you get 5 seconds to respond. See, I'm not responding, so unable to reach app, but it did reach my app. But when developing, of course, yeah, it doesn't matter. My code will just proceed. It's not a big deal, but you will get an error in Teams. So we get our information, and what do I do here? Well, I just do a search client, which is going to a custom search, Bing search. We get that results, and we search for everything in Bing. So we respond to ngrok, and of course my app is not working because we have to do a little bit faster. So let's just clear this breakpoint, and then everything will go faster. So if I just search here again, so if I search for Teams, let's say for instance Teams, there we go, then we should get some information back. What do? We do a Bing custom search query. So I go to the Bing API and I just say, okay, give me everything from Teams that you can find. Now, if you click on this, so these are the results. We just gave back the results. So this is, I'll just do a search query and I'll return the results as a messaging extension response. Those are the results, but yeah, nothing is happening already. Yeah, the user can search for something, but yeah, that's not, okay, not really something useful. Of course, the user needs to put that into his chat window. So when you click on something, Teams does another query, as you can see here. So the first one was a query, and this one is the select item. So now somebody selected the item. Now Teams is smart enough to return that item. So I got the article that I sent, I got that back. Oh, there's the article. So as I hope you can see my screen, let me zoom a little bit bigger. Can I zoom a little bit bigger? There we go, 150. So what's in the article? See, that's the things I just added here. So I just created an article which has it has a name and it has an image URL and stuff like that. So here I get the same result back, which is, yeah, makes my life easier. So I already added the image URL, the link, the snippet, and the title. So what do? I convert that to a bigger card, so to a bigger, a bigger piece of information. It's the same information, but I put it bigger. You don't need to do that, of course. You can do another query here. So if I just select a, let's say a product number, then here I can get more information about that product. Here I just convert the data, but you can use also that data to get even more information back. And then that result will be sent back as a messaging extension result again, and that will pop up in our conversation. So let me just skip this one. So let's do it again, but a little bit faster. So we search for Teams, we search our Bing, and we get something back, and we create a card from it. Oh yeah, there's an issue with my Teams, so I have to type something, and then it will get a card. There we go. And as you can see, it will put that card. So I made a little bit of a bigger card. I can't remember which one it was. It was a new card action. So it's a card action, a thumbnail card I created. That one was it. And there's a card action attached. Why? Because there's a button open in browser. And now the user can just say, okay, this was the thing I searched for. Hey team, this is the product you were looking for. And I add it, and it's in my conversation and in my chat window. So that's one of the things we can do with a search query. So opening up other extensions, other information from other systems to be searched and to be added to a team. So let's say a sales team is talking about a product or about a customer. They can just search the information from that customer in our backend CRM system, and they can just paste that information right directly into Teams. Hey, this was the customer I'm talking about. Okay, this was his information, and then I can even say, okay, open in browser, go directly to my CRM system. So as you can see here, open it up, and we're good to go. If you use adaptive cards, you can even put information right back at it. So that was a query, of course, a messaging query. Now the next one, let's go to the next one. The next one is going to be action based. So the first one was search based, and now we're going to do an action. So as you can see in the compose box at the bottom, it's a little bit hard to find. As you can see here, I have my two search queries and my search box. And well, if you add an action based, you get like this little plus icon, and then you can get into the action based. A little bit hidden there, but if you click on the three dots during a conversation, then you have more actions, and here it's added as well, and that makes it a little bit more accessible, because you can immediately take an action on something somebody said. So let's say, for instance, yeah, I don't know, John is not at work today, and somebody puts that in Teams. Well, I can create an action that takes that information. It takes the conversation. It reads, okay, John is not at work today. Oh, okay, let's just add a button that automatically calls John with, or sends him a text message. All super possible, because we can get the information from that conversation. So action-based extensions. Well, action-based, it's not one thing, it's actually a group name for different solutions. So they can do different things. Well, they look and feel the same as the same, so that's why they group them together, and they're all based on a pop-up. So on a model dialog, model dialog is the official name, but you get a pop-up. But you can do different things, so it's a group name, action-based. You got three kinds of flavors for the action-based. You have a static list of parameters, which is the simplest way to get started. Teams takes care of everything. We can send an adaptive card, or we can have an embedded web view. So remember, you get like a pop-up. That pop-up can either be a static list of parameters, an adaptive card, or an embedded web view, meaning you get an iframe and do whatever you want, build the entire thing yourself. So it also goes from pretty simple to create to very difficult to create, and to, but more extensible, of course. So a static action-based extension, let's take the simplest one. You have quick results. Within 10 minutes of development, you have a result. Why? Because we say in our manifest, so we give our messaging extension, we do a title, an ID again, but this one is a type of action. So the other one was types query, this one is type action. So we give it the context, where does it have to show up, command box, message, compose box. We put the fetch task to false. That's something for later. We need those in the other action-based extensions, but in this one, we don't need to put it to false. And we just say, okay, these are the parameters. I need a title field. I need a choice field. I need a date field. So we have a limited set of inbuilt fields. They're all here. You can read them yourself. And the only thing we have to put here is what do we want? Well, we want the choice field that says choice, and it gives you a drop down with three buttons, with three choices: BLT, cheese, and ham. And Teams will take care of everything. You don't need to build the drop down. You don't need to build the text field. You just need to implement, of course, the save functionality, because Teams doesn't know where to save your information to. So that's just within, I'll show you in a minute, within 2 minutes, you're ready and good to go. The next one is the most difficult one. So this was the simplest one. Now the most difficult one is the embedded web view, which means we have complete control. We can do whatever we want. We get an iframe and we can do whatever we want. So as you can see here, we also do a type action, but then we have to say the fetch task is to why, because Teams has no idea what you want to do, of course. Okay, you get an embedded web view, but what do I have to show? I can show a pop-up, but what has to be in it? So meaning fetch task, what does Teams do? Well, fetch information. So the moment you click on the button, or the user clicks on the button, Teams already goes to your application and tells your application, what do I have to do now? We can also say Teams, okay, Teams, no, I'll just put in the manifest. Okay, let's you have to open up this URL. So this is the title, this is the width and the height of the iframe you get, or the pop-up and the model dialog, and just go to this URL. Depending on your use case, this could be good, or whatever you want, because okay, this is easier to create, because here you have an additional call again to your application. So your application will be called multiple times, of course, for just one button click. On the other hand, you have full control, because let's say the backend URL changes, or you need to send somebody somewhere else, or there's some logic defined already if somebody from the sales team clicks the button or if somebody from HR clicks the button. So there's also already some logic behind it. Then you just say, okay, my code will take care of it. If it's a pretty simple basic web page that you want to show, well, then you can just tell Teams, okay, just go to this URL and then call my application. And then the one in the middle, so it's a little bit simpler to build, and it has also enough functionality to do, is just an adaptive card. We all know the adaptive cards. They're easy to create. Why? You have like there's a lot of adaptive card builders already, and you can just, it's just JSON. So okay, according to the documentation, also end users can build adaptive cards. That's up for debate, of course, because it's still JSON. Not everybody likes JSON or can read JSON that simple, but you can do a lot with it. It has the same logic as an embedded web view, so that's good. So you can say fetch task, and then you can just say, okay, I want to send out an adaptive card, and you give the JSON back. And there's also a preview available for the user. So as you can see here, the user gets like a pop-up. Okay, this is the adaptive card we want to post in your chat box. Is that good? The user can edit that one, or you can click the send button, and that will get posted. So let's dive right in, because that's quite a lot. So first things first, let's open our Visual Studio. This is my Visual Studio. There we go. And then we go to the manifest. And here we have our order lunch on Saturday. So the first one we're going to do is a simple one. So I have my ID, my description, my title, action. We have those 3 locations, fetch task, set to false, and these are my parameters. So name, choice, and date. Pretty basic. I don't even have to click the run button. I can do it, but I don't need to. Why? Because if I click my action, so as you know, we can click on the button here and hit the little plus, or we can just say this one, click on those one, and then just order Saturday lunch. So as you can see, I order my lunch. There's nothing happening on ngrok, no calls. My code was not hit as well. Why? Because Teams takes care of everything. So this I didn't need to build. I just type my name. I get a cool choice field. I even get a date field. So excuse me, everything gets filled in. So that's easy to build. Man, how long does it take to build? A little bit of JSON, 2 minutes, and you already have something to show. So for prototyping, this is actually perfect. And you sit in a meeting, you just type in a JSON, you deploy the app real quick, and you say, okay, does it have to look something like this? The questions you want in Teams. Oh yeah, perfect. Then of course, the submit button is something else. For the submit button, we need to call our application. So once we click the submit button, then our application gets called. Once again, an override method, so we'll get a lot of those. So messaging extension, Teams messaging is submit action. So we do a submit action. And then something, as you can see, command ID gets in here. So this is my command ID, order lunch on Saturday. Why is this? Like I said, you can have multiple commands, so those IDs are important. So I have my ID, order lunch on Saturday, order lunch with fetch, order lunch without fetch. So let's close that one. So order lunch on Saturday, that's why we need this. Now let's go back to our Teams client. Okay, of course you have, and again, 5 seconds to respond. Now let's go back to our code. Where was my code? There was my code. So this way I can say, okay, order lunch on Saturday. I know this was the messaging extension with the action-based messaging extension with the preset of questions. And then we can say, okay, what do we send back? Well, we can send back a messaging extension action response. That can again be a task module, meaning another pop-up. So we can add multiple pop-ups linked together. So let me just close this one and do it again, but a little bit faster, of course. Yeah, that's Teams development for you. Gonna have to click a lot. So I fill in Rick, and then I fill in my choice field. Okay, I want a cheese sandwich today, and I want it tomorrow. And there we go, submit, and we go to it a little bit faster. See? And then we can say, okay, another pop-up, and you can have another pop-up, and so you can build the entire flow of screens if you want to. It's not always good to do that, but that's another story, of course. That's more usability. But you can show another screen that says, okay, your lunch has been ordered. So we can show another web page with functionality. We don't need to do that. We can just say, oh, no. we can just say return my hero card. So we just return an entire card. So if I stop and start this one, let me stop and start this one. So as you saw, we can here we do a messaging extension action response with a task module, and we do a lot of information with our custom screen behind it. We don't need to do that. We can just say, okay, give me back a new card. What's in this create card response is just show a new hero card, add some attachments to it, and send that back. So if I now call Teams and do it again, are we running? Yeah, where's my 3 buttons? Should be somewhere. There we go. So once we click on order lunch on Saturday, I order my lunch again, Rick, and a choice of cheese, and the date is going to be tomorrow, and submit. That will go to my code. There we go. Let's proceed. And now I have my card. See? So now the card is immediately inserted into the conversation. Of course, the user still has to click the send button, but it's a messaging extension. So the end goal is the information is added to the user. So let's say I don't order lunch for me, but for my entire team, then I can say, okay, entire team, hey, I ordered lunch for everybody. So I just send that card back, or the user could also just delete that one. But if it's information for the entire team, it's better to add a card. If it's like an information for just the end user, then just show the pop-up like I just did. So this is the simple one. Now the next one, which was where's my manifest? There we go. The next one is going to be order lunch with a fetch. So if you we click on the order lunch button, and then we immediately go to our code and Teams asks, okay, code, what do we need to do? So let's try that one again. So we do the order lunch on Saturday. Should be this one. And normally we just pop into our code. See, this is for in a little while. I'll show you that in a little while. And of course, messaging extension, fetch task. As you remember, fetch task was set to true. So we get that information. Now, this is for a little while. So this is we'll get to authentication part. I'll just return an lunch ordering page with information in the query string. So somebody just ordered a lunch page, and then we can send something back. Okay, I was too slow, of course. Let's close back the. Wait, let me put this one, or we all start with the adaptive card. So we can just send back an adaptive card. Why not? Let's do it a little bit faster this time. There we go. Order lunch, fetch task. Then Visual Studio has 5 seconds to respond, and we respond. And should go, see, this is our adaptive card. So we can send back an adaptive card or whatever we want, and then we can open this if we need it. It's just a URL. We can also just say, oh, I don't want to send back an adaptive card. So let's click the stop button. There we go. And let's comment this section. So this was, as you can see, message extension action. And we do a message extension action and we do a response to that, but we don't need to make it that difficult. We can also just say, no, I want the messaging extension action, and it's a task module. So task module is another word for a pop-up. So let's start this one. And here we go to a URL. And because we do this from the messaging extension, we can also get, okay, who's the user and what's the context and all that stuff. So if I am running, then we can go to Teams. Where's my 3 buttons? There we go. We click the button. And now we do the fetch task. Should be, come on, Teams. First one is always difficult. Are we already running? Yeah, there we go. So we return our medium-sized task module info. And if I go look here, oh, did I do something wrong? I probably took too long. Let's try that again. That's a little bit faster. There we go. So it's probably too slow anyway. Now we return our response. There we go. So this one, I return a task module, which is just a pop-up. Just say, okay, give me back an entire screen. So this I can serve to this one as well. As you can see here in my code, it's just this URL. So if I go to my, it's just a website that just a website that I built. Let's copy paste this one. See, just a company app website that I built. So here we have some lunch options, and here we can order a lunch as well. So you can do it with the Teams provided drop down and Teams provided text area, or you can build your entire lunch system yourself. Okay, in this case it's a lunch system, but let's say it's very difficult code or very difficult application, or yeah, then of course it's easier just to show a screen. The users can do everything and they can click on stuff. Now, the other one we had, so we had the fetch task. We already gave back a task module. We already gave back an adaptive card. And what else can we give back? An adaptive card with a preview. So let's turn this one off and let's see what this one does. So here we go. We already had this one, and this is the preview. So if I start this one, oh, no. Of course, this is comment. Should be better. Yeah, that's not going to work, of course. There we go. So this is what I said. You can also give back an adaptive card, but you can also give back an adaptive card with a preview. So here we're going to say it's type of bot message preview. So we're going to give a preview of the adaptive card, and then the user can edit that one if he wants to, or he can just say, okay, this adaptive card is perfect. There's also lots of things, use cases where you can use that, of course. And now we still have to wait because we're still warming up our system. There we go. Next one, next one. There we go. So here's the preview of the card. So we get the preview in the pop-up. People can say, no, I want to edit the card. And then you go back into the loop of going back to the same query you just did. And then you just say, oh, no, I want to send it. And then another message override, of course. So this is the messaging extension bot message preview send AC. So you just saw that. This was type bot message preview. Well, we also have a bot message preview send. So it will call this one and it will say, okay, that card was good. Now can you just send the real one? And now the real one is normally added to my conversation or to my chat window if I want to. I don't do it here because on behalf of chat, it's immediately added to the user on behalf of the user. So we can do, we can do lots of stuff. Now you're probably wondering, what was all that stuff here with the authentication and with the access token that you just saw? So let's go back to my, the easiest way is if I show you, if I just click the 3 buttons again and I say order lunch, there we go. So by default, you're not authenticated in a messaging extension, but no worries, you can just use the messaging extension by yourself. So you can get the state. So if the user is already authenticated in the state, you can get, I'm already authenticated, so I get a token back. But if I'm not, so let's say, for instance, I'm not, so token is 0, then I can say, introduce the OAuth and sign in the user. So I do a new messaging extension that says, okay, sign in. We have to do it a little bit faster, of course, Rick. There we go. A little bit faster. We don't want an access token. I want to go here. I want to sign in. So I'm faking that I don't have an access token. So in this case, we can just say, hey, user, you need to sign in to use this app. I click on sign in. I get this small pop-up with single sign-on. And now I'm signed in, meaning I can access the graph. So now I have an access token. So this is going to be my bearer token. See, this is a bearer token. Don't copy paste it. And we can just go to the graph with that access token. And in this case, I get the user. But yeah, as you can see here, I get the user.office location. So I can immediately, because the user is logged in, I know who I'm talking to. I know where he's from. I know everything from that user that's in Active Directory. So I can customize my application to that user, of course. I can make it a real personal application for that user. Because I know, okay, this is the office location, so I don't need to ask for the lunch. Where do I have to send the lunch to? No, I know that user is in Brussels, in the office in Brussels, and he's at probably, I already know he's at desk 25B, so I know where to send his lunch because I know that from the Active Directory. Yeah, of course. 5 seconds. Those 5 seconds are killing me. So those were the messaging extensions. Now, in the interest of time, I'll probably have to move a little bit faster. So let's get right back to the presentation. So those were the adaptive cards. Now, there's one thing I just want to show you. It's not it's not a messaging extension, but it falls under messaging extensions a little bit. So it's a special thing I want to show you. So we also have something that's called link unfurling these days. And link unfurling, do I have it in this one? Yep. I added it to messaging extensions because, as you can see here, message handlers, it's within the compose extensions. Yeah, it's in the manifest under compose extensions. It's not really a compose extension, but it falls under that category. Now, I don't know if you know that, but in Teams, if I go to, I don't know, YouTube, let's say it's like a tag or something. If I go to YouTube and I pick a channel here, or I pick something and I paste that in Teams, I don't know, everybody knows that. So I paste something in YouTube in Teams, it's already being defined. So Microsoft built something in that's called link unfurling. Paste in a link. What does Teams do in the backend? It will go to that link and it will get the metadata from that web page. So YouTube adds metadata. Pause this one. YouTube adds metadata to this web page. It's always the same metadata. It's web-based. Everybody uses the same one, and Microsoft just built in. Okay, if you go to YouTube or some other some famous URLs, then we go to that page for you, and we get that information. We get the little icon, and we get the title and the description, and we get and we paste it in a cool card for you. Now that's cool, but yeah, if I go to my own URL, so if I go to, I don't know, rig.com, let's use a real URL, so https. Let's use a real one. www. Come on. There. .rig.com. Let's just use that one. So if I paste, nothing happens, of course, because Microsoft is not going to my. They built that for YouTube, but not for my website. So, and my website is rigvanrussel.com actually. But as a company, you might want that. So your public website, if somebody pastes something internally from your public website, you probably have those metadata on your public website. You already paid a company to do that, or you already have that. Yeah, then you want that to be shown in Teams as well. Well, we can do that. We can just say, okay, we want a message handler. It's of type link, and everything under this domain. So this is my domain. That's what you tell Teams. This is my domain, or it doesn't have to be your domain. If you want to build it for somebody else's domain, also good if it's a partner or something of your company. But you can say everything that has this link, this domain in it, I want to do the link unfurling myself, or I want to do link unfurling because it doesn't exist in Teams. You can also do it for YouTube, but yeah, it makes it a little bit harder. So everything I do with this domain should work. So if I go back to Teams and I have this one, for instance, this was the domain. I'm just double checking. Yep. So if I paste something like this here, then Teams will just figure it out and will go to my backend and will say, okay, I have this domain here. Can you please check it? And normally, there we go. Starts the moment, yeah, it reads the URL. So this is on Teams app based link query async. So we do a link query. So we don't have to press any button, just paste a link query. And from this link query, we already know, okay, this was the query. So this was the URL that was queried. So if it's a subdomain, or if it's let's say /info/contact/ I don't know what, then you can just do logic to that, and then you can say, okay, for this URL, now create a hero card, and let's do the same thing as we do for YouTube. I'll probably have to do it a little bit faster again. So there we go. And now see, so we're adding, you are referencing our domain, and I just added a cool hero card. It can also be used for internal domains if you use, I don't know, if you have some kind of internal app, and they can also go, okay, if you paste the URL of that app, I don't know, or something you use to do Scrum or to do Agile. Well, if you go there, it automatically gets the task for you, and it gets the user story, and it gets the epic and all that stuff, and you can paste that immediately into Teams. Then people don't have to click the link. No, the information is already there. And that's why, yeah, it's not really a messaging extension, but I just wanted to show you because in the manifest, it does fall under messaging. It depends on if you go to the documentation, it's not a messaging extension, but in the manifest it is. So it should fall under the messaging extension. I just wanted to show you that it should work. Now, where's my other code? So I'll zoom out a little bit. Like I just said, we have a lot of overrides. So let's close this one. Let's close this one. Let's close this one. And let's just look at all the overrides. So it can get, I'm just trying to make a point here, it can get really big, really fast. So this was our messaging extension query. So for our search-based, we had one. Of course, once we select something in the search, we have another extension, another override. Okay, then I already forgot to mention that. We also can, of course, am I still running? Configure. So if configuration is set to true, then you can also say, I want to reconfigure this. This was, I think it's this one. See, oh, there we go. I clicked on the button and we're already in the configuration part. So here we can, at the moment somebody clicks on your button, so right click, it will do some, it will start the configuration part. Why? Because if you set it to false, let's see if I can do it here. Where's my messaging extent? Does this one do it? Yeah. So here I only have unpin and uninstall, which is the default one. If you put it to false, you get unpin and uninstall. But if you put the settings one in there, the moment I click on it, it needs to get the icon of the URL and it needs to get, so there's a settings button, but Teams needs to know what happens if you click that button, because they will show the button already. So yeah, the click behind it, yeah, they're not going to go to your system again. They are now asking your system, if you click on it, where do you have to go? So as you can see here, I go to a URL that says, okay, this is my extensions and these are this is my settings page. So I go to my settings page and then it knows, okay, if you click on this one, this is the URL behind it. Yeah, okay, of course, probably I went too slow. So let's do it a little bit faster. There we go, a little bit faster. We only have 5 seconds to respond. So if I click on the settings page, then it knows, okay, show this pop-up. So we go to extension settings, and then what would you like to search, Microsoft or company knowledge base? So depending on, so it's for the search extension, you can have some settings. So you can say, okay, if you want a search extension, I'm not from HR, the system detected that I'm from HR, but I'm not from HR, then you can save that one. So those settings will be saved. So of course you need an extension configuration setting. So you set that, and then you, of course, you put that in the user state. If it's persistent, in this case, yeah, I'm running a memory user state for my bot, so it's not persistent. So every time I stop and start, it's forgotten it, but it should remember now the state. So next time I click on it, I click on settings, we go again, it gets my settings from my user state, and now it knows, okay, you selected this one. So you can also have settings. So we already had that one. Okay, let's continue here. Where's my code again? So where were we? Selected item. Whenever you right click on the button for the configuration, if you select the configuration, if you do the action based and you click the save button, so extension submit action, then of course, if you do a preview of the bot message preview, so the adaptive cards with the preview, if you do a preview, I click the edit button. If you click the send button, so I didn't show that one, but if you click the edit button, you get another edit screen. What else do we have? If we do a fetch task, so what's the URL I need to go to? And of course, we can send with the fetch task multiple things back. And if we do link unfurling from our team, so that's, yeah, it's gonna get real big, real fast. So make sure that, yeah, as you can see here, I put everything in one big file. Don't do that. Make it a little bit more separate. It's not because it's Teams development that you don't need to do that. Yeah, decent development in C#. Now, I didn't talk about Node yet. Why? Because that's the cool thing about Node. Let's close all these error messages. The cool thing about Node, or actually it's the bot team. So because Teams team used the bot framework, it's going to be the same functionality for the bot framework team does all the development for it, and they work smart enough. See, handle Teams message extension query. So they work smart enough to have the information, the extension, the overrides. They will name them the same. So if you do C# or you do Node.js, actually it doesn't matter. I can talk about Teams development with a C# developer or with a Node developer. It doesn't matter. Why? Because the naming conventions are the same. It's a messaging extension query. Okay, what you do, how you exactly write your code is a little bit different. So here we also go to the Bing custom search, as you can see here. So this is the Bing custom search API with the query, but we also send back a thumbnail card and we send back a result list. So that's all the same. So select a messaging extension selected item. So that's the cool thing about what the bot framework team did. They kept the naming conventions the same. So if you're talking to whatever another person and whatever his favorite is. So his poison is Node.js or his poison is C#, doesn't matter. You're talking about the same thing, and that's the cool thing. So if you search for something online, if you have an issue with your development, it's not because it says, oh, this is for Node, that it's wrong. You can easily find the answer, what you're doing wrong, if you're doing C# in a Node response on Stack Overflow, and the other way around. So keep that in mind. It's very important that you keep that in mind. And now looking at the time, I do have to hurry. So let's get back to the presentation. And this was the last slide. So this was me. My name is Rick van Russelt. I should actually appear here. So if I select you should see me like this. And my name is Rick van Russelt. I just wrote a book on Pro Teams development. There's you can get a free chapter from the good people of the European SharePoint Conference. I'm from Belgium, and if you have any more questions, just Twitter me or find me on GitHub or email me if you're old-fashioned. Then yeah, just let me know. And I hope you had a great time and you had a blast. I know I did, and I wish you a good working day if you have to work today. And otherwise, I'll see you around. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the chat.
Hey, Rick. So we actually have a question in. So someone asked, is all code posted in GitHub, or will it be available for meeting participants somehow later?
Not all code is posted in GitHub. I can probably do that. If you want that, I can probably do that. I have no, yeah, I publish a lot to GitHub, so it's probably a mess. I'll still have to clean that up. That's actually a good one. I still have to clean that up. No, but I'll post something on my blog. You can also find lots of stuff about messaging extensions and all that stuff.
Great. And then someone else said, can you pass params into cards such as user details who clicked on the button?
As you can see, yeah, like I did, you can have people logged. So you have some basic information about the user, but sometimes it's not enough, and then you need people to get logged in, of course. But with this, you can use single sign-on. So yeah, I put a button in between it to log on. And click the sign-in button. But if you want, you can skip that part, and you can just add, yeah. But you can get information from the user. I have some basic information available, but let's be honest, usually it's not enough. If you need to build a real application, then yeah, usually it's not enough that you know the username. You need to know, okay, where's he from, or I need to call the graph to get emails from him, or I need to call a file in his name from SharePoint. So yeah, it's usually not enough. You usually still have to go get him signed in with SSO and then go to the graph.
Okay, perfect. I think that's all the questions then, unless you have anything more to add yourself, Rick.
No, that was it. I've seen a lot of messaging extensions. Oh wait, if you want, if you want to see this in real life, I've added a app to the store. Wait, where's the store? If you go to the team store, then it's called 365 QA. Yeah, this one. Yeah, okay, it's under my company because you cannot post an app under your own name to the store. It always has to be a Microsoft partner. It's not the iStore or the Google Play Store. So you really need a company to post something, or not a company. You need a Microsoft partner ID. And I added this app. This is also a simple app, and it just if you install it. So if you click on it and you install it, you can ask it all questions relating Microsoft 365. So how do I set my Outlook signature, as this one says? The only thing it will do is do a search query on Bing. Yeah, of course, because the Bing API is usable, and it will go and search everything under Microsoft.com and everything under support on Microsoft.com. And yeah, if you want, you're free to use it. It's a free app, so we just published it, and apparently it's used a lot. So for end users, this is easy. You don't need to for stupid questions like how do I create a Teams channel? How do I create a Teams channel? Yeah, you don't want your help desk to be swarmed with those questions. Well, we have a simple application that's just a simple example of a bot, and of course a messaging extension that's also in it. I think it's asleep now. Oh, I need to refresh now. Let me refresh. And a simple example of what you can do real life with Teams apps. So yeah, I just want to tell you that. That was it.
Oh, that's really cool.
Ah, there we go. See, so chat meeting collaboration, yeah, goes to Microsoft.com and support at Microsoft.com. So just for simple how-to questions and supported Office questions, so that your website doesn't get your help desk doesn't get swamped with Office support questions.
Nice. I think I might even be able to use that myself.
Yeah. It's been it's used quite. That's the power of the store actually. So I created it. I don't know, February, March somewhere. I put it in the store, and I have to be honest, I didn't look at it. You create an app, you don't look at it every day. And
Yeah.
I got a call from Microsoft that it's been used a lot, so I went to look at the numbers, and yeah, it's used. If you have 10,000 users a day, it's like whoa.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations. That's really cool.
yeah, that's like, and yeah. I just explained it. It's just a stupid idea. I just showed the code. It's yeah, you type something and we go to Bing and we give the results back. So yeah, but yeah,
Oh,
people don't have to leave. Yeah, you don't need to open up your own browser and start searching. And then if you type it in Google, you probably have lots of different sites and blogs and old blogs and all that stuff. And this just goes to support.office.com, meaning you have the correct repository for your information.
nice one. Oh, very good. So I guess that's the wrap, so Rick.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, thanks very much for taking part today and spending time with us. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, it was fun to do. I wish you good luck with the last session of the Teams week this afternoon. And then I'll see you around.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's it, everyone. Thanks very much for joining today. And we have one more webinar later on at 3 p.m. CET. So see you then. Thanks.